Hey guys, so it's Friday night and I'm gonna call this my night video for now. Wet spot from a raindrop that hit there. So wanted to kind of talk to you about just some crazy stuff that continues to happen. Makes you think why, and I'm always picking up rocks and dirt, I apologize. So I tried to share with you guys this morning my adventures at the radio station. Went and got my hair cut. There's my shortcut hair for those that want to see. And I was leaving the strip shopping center and there was a restaurant that I stopped in because at like 12 o'clock it was mobbed. Every table was full. And I'm a bit of a opportunist. I saw an opportunity to maybe spread my word a little bit, so I hopped on in there. But truth of the matter is everybody was so crazy. I mean, the waitresses were shorthanded. Heck, I didn't even get service for quite a while. Not a whole lot of people paid attention to me. So later on, within an hour, the whole place cleared out, and a gentleman moseyed in, along with a couple people I was speaking to. And this gentleman's name was Greg, and we started talking, and I posted a picture of him earlier. His son's on the U.S. Olympic team in the 2020 Olympics, Greg West Jr. Fascinating guy. And I had plans, again, when you're walking, 6-8 miles by car don't seem like a whole lot, doesn't ruin your whole day. But when you're walking it, it's pretty much your whole day. It's 2, 3, 4 hours sometimes. So yesterday I'd been invited back to a church to come speak to, possibly, up by the VFW / Crazy Hats I was at. And I told this gentleman that, and he said, well, I might like to join you, maybe even take you up that way. So look, if you're willing to drive me 3 miles to the middle of Springfield, Missouri, or 6 miles rather, I'll take it. And we started heading out, and he said, well, you know what, I want you to stop and meet a friend of mine. So we stopped at this one-story, flat-level building, and we walked in, and his friend Mike was on the phone with AT&T, and on the phone for a while. And he said, Mike, I want you to meet this guy Jim, and he's walking across the country. And we sat around, we talked for about 2 hours. My son Sean walked in. Just good conversation, I wouldn't have, in a million years, tripped over Greg and Mike especially, had Greg not brought me to him, not heard the point of thumb journey and the mindset and the belief. And I'm kind of puzzled today the way this is all working out. So, talked with Mike for quite a while, and then I thought something fascinating happened. I made a joke about heading to church this evening. Wasn't sure what church. Had to meet this gentleman, and I forgot his name. I forgot at the moment. He's inside right now. I forgot his name. He came up looking for me to make sure I was coming. And I'm talking to Mike, and Greg said, Mike's a JW. And I said, what? No, I didn't know that, but what's that? He said, Jehovah's Witness. So, for those of you that don't know, I have a history. One of the reasons why I have the view on religion that I do is because of a experience in that regard. I would be real careful on my videos. I believe in God. I believe in politics, but I don't talk about them a whole lot because everybody is very passionate, has their own beliefs. Some people, quite frankly, have told me I should be writing a second book, and I'm considering as I go. The journey is the journey. That's the story. But outside of that, some people, as I'm meeting, are hearing me speak and talk and going, that guy makes a lot of sense, and you should put that in a book. And I can't really combine them into one. So maybe if the publishers out there, Wink Publishers, hit me up, understand that the journey book is going to move. It's just a good book. That there may be some other good stuff right behind that. Anyway, what was so impressive was, along with this morning earlier, when I had a civil discussion with a television news reporter, producer, I don't know, which I kind of went off half-cocked yesterday about the response I got to our news request. The point of the matter was it was a civil discussion, and when you have civil discussions, people can hear other person's perspectives when they're not so busy fighting their own agenda, and look in the mirror, and if they're out of line, admit it. Or if there's a belief of something that someone else has, hear it, as opposed to telling them why they're wrong. And Mike sat there and he and I started to talk, I'll say theology a little bit for a while. But what was amazing about it was Mike was talking his point, and I kind of shared some of my experiences with the JW religion and why I think the way I do, and I'll leave it at that. If anybody wants to read the book or call me and ask me, I'd be more than happy to have a discussion. But what was fantastic about it was here's this man I never met 2 hours earlier, and he wasn't preachy, he wasn't sermony, he wasn't trying to convert me, he was just talking to me. And when I talked to him, guess what? He listened to me, heard my points just like I heard his, and we had the most civil discussions about one of the most polarizing topics in our world, which is religion. And I got a lot of respect for Mike because of how he handled himself. I think Mike respects me a great deal. He basically left it off that I hope I get to see you again someday, Jim. And I'm sure we will. That's just what this journey's been. But I know it's not very exciting right now, what I'm telling you, but it really was exciting in the sense that, you know, for 2.5 hours today, 3 hours today, I met a few gentlemen, and this is what the journey's about. I never would have met in my wildest dreams. I didn't know who they were, they didn't know who I was. And we talked, and I'm learning from them, they're learning from me. We're 3 grown men. There's no agenda on any of our parts, just talking and sharing. And it was really, worthwhile on the heels of the other situation with the television reporter about having explanations and having civil discussions. It was really enlightening, and to show you that we can in this society and country talk about difficult topics without raising our voice and screaming and hollering and fighting our own agenda. So that was where the afternoon went. Then to top it off, you know, sometimes people will offer something and then a few hours later, you know, the offer doesn't hold true, not because they don't want it to be, but because things pop up. Well, looks like there's a chance that I will have a place to stay tonight. Greg has said, hey, you know what, I got a couch if you need it, and sometimes that's all I need, and he's been great talking with me and hanging out with me. He's retired. He's fascinating in his own right, and I can tell you stories about him, including the time he was working for the Border Patrol, and his job was to be kind of a spotter, and he stood up. I mean, he knew every little ridge and mountain range and every little nook and cranny, because this is where aliens or immigrants were coming over trying to get across the country. He stood up to stretch. In 2 seconds after he stood up, he got shot right through the right rib cage. Not the right rib cage, but right to the right side. It went clear out the left side. Didn't touch a thing. He took about miraculous. And he went to the hospital. They plugged it up. Couldn't figure out they wanted to give him like 2 weeks of bed rest. He said, no. He said, no, I'm good. He said, I want to sign myself out. And, you know, in the world of macho men, I said, what'd you do, go right back to work? No, he said, I knew I needed another career. He goes, because that wasn't anybody within miles of me. That was a hell of a shot, and those were people that had an agenda that I can't handle. It wasn't my own folks. It wasn't somebody trying to cross illegal. That most likely was somebody dealing with the drug trade, and I didn't need to lose my life over this, so I got a kick out of that. So anyway, I made it back to Crazy Hats where I was yesterday, because again, I can't experience all of Springfield, and hanging out in Crazy Hats talking to Harry, he shared a story with me that hit home. So anyway, the gentleman came in and said, Jim, I can't believe you made it back. I can't wait to go to church with you at 5 o'clock or introduce you to the pastor. And so I'm looking forward to that. Again, anytime I can talk about my mission, what I'm preaching and talking, it's an opportunity for me, and I love meeting people, and that's going to be part of the story as well. So bear in mind, since I woke up this morning, we had the radio station, got a haircut, had my guy that was kind of rude to me at the hotel at the washroom. He was too busy he was in a hurry, so he couldn't get a business card handed to him, I guess. Met Greg, spent an hour with Greg, hour and a half with Greg. Introduced me to Mike and Sean, spent a couple hours with them. Met this other fella, I gotta get his name, I apologize. Gonna be heading to church and some dinner soon, may have a place to stay tonight. Also gotta confirm with Tarina, she may be able to get me towards Joplin tomorrow, which is my game plan, to go spend a couple of days in that city or town. And then I get here and there's a story, and Crazy Hats, if you saw yesterday, it didn't get the name Crazy Hats other than the fact that Harry and Tarina, H&T, are the proprietors. Well, people leave hats hanging up all over the place, and they were sharing 2 stories with me about 2 hats on the wall. One of them was a gentleman, like they call Indian Charlie, show you how kind of effed up our world is. and he's a Native American. Come to the bar way back before they owned it. It was a bar called Long Branch back then. And the story goes that out in the parking lot, there was a gentleman that was kind of physically smacking around a sort of petite pregnant young lady. Cindy and Charlie's upbringing went up to the folks and said, I don't really approve of that, and made it known that it needed to stop, and that was that. So he made it known, it stopped for the moment. Charlie went back inside. Half hour later, that same little pregnant girl, lady, asked him if he could step outside. When he did, Charlie was accosted by 4 folks with pipes and bats and beat him to an inch of his life, and in fact he lost his eye in doing so. And this is a challenge I've talked about earlier in this journey, is to how do we teach kids these days to do the right thing when stuff like that happens to them. Just before I left home, or just about a week after I left home, in my home county of York, in East York, as far as what I know of the story, a gentleman was shot and killed about 1 o'clock in the morning because he was standing up for a minority friend of his that was being abused and heckled, and it escalated. Again, we're shooting people over words. We're shooting people and killing people. We're beating people over trying to do the right thing. We gotta stop pointing the thumb at all of ourselves and ask us, you know, is there any truth? What did I do? What should I do? So that was kind of a story that a year later, Indy and Charlie survived, and he was out of his ranch with his horse when a drunk driver lost control of his car, went through the fence, and you out? And went through a fence, hit him, again, nearly hospitalized him. Anyway, he was wearing that hat at that same time, and he came in and gave it the crazy hat. So that's kind of a pretty special hat that's on their wall. And then another story, which isn't quite as dramatic but kind of funny in its own right, was there was a gentleman in town that used to make his rounds to 3 or 4 or local establishments, and he used to like to kind of have fun with folks, and he would go flip them. He had a coin, and on one side was a woman's front, and on the back side was a woman's rear, and you flipped them for, you know, front or back, and loser paid for a beer. So I would do this all around the town. One day he happened to be in this crazy hats, and he said to Dorina, what's the most expensive hat you got in here? I said, I don't know, I never really priced them, no. That one over there probably is a motorcycle helmet we got, is $200-300 motorcycle helmet. So he took his hat off and said, well, not anymore. And he just gave him this Stetson cowboy hat that he gave him. And they went online and priced it the next day. It was like a $900 hat. And he just kind of gave it to him as to be part of the group. That's kind of a pretty cool story. Nothing that's real profound, but a neat story anyway. So we're about a half an hour away from me having to leave here and head over to the church and see some nice folks, I hope. Hopefully spread the word of pointing the thumb and asking folks to point the thumb at themselves, not the finger. And every time I get an opportunity, I think it aids our cause. And again, I know people have said, well, you know, it seems like not a great day, or they're all great days. And it's amazing how one thing leads to another thing leads to another. If I wasn't 6 miles from here yesterday, I wouldn't have walked by the radio station. If I didn't walk by the radio station, I wouldn't have got my hair cut. If I didn't get my hair cut, I wouldn't have met Greg. If I didn't meet Greg, I wouldn't have known about his son being a U.S. Olympian and representing our country, and how he served on the border patrol for us. And I wouldn't have met Mike and had this intelligent, very lucid and civil conversation about a very polarizing topic. And just crazy how this whole thing has worked out. So anyway, guys, this is my night. I'll update you tomorrow about what transpires after this. I think I'll have a place to stay. Not quite sure exactly yet, but anyway, love you guys. Thanks for listening. I know it wasn't the most gripping of stories or anything like that, but you know, I'm just trying to share with you my days as they go. And maybe you'll find some truth or some beauty in what I just shared with you as well, because each of those little stories does have a little bit of truth and some crazy stuff with you. So love you guys. Have yourselves a great day. I'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye now.